Recently, I attended a concert played by my favourite artist. It was absolutely amazing, but as soon as I left and went back to real life, I really felt the post-concert depression hit me hard. For a couple of days after the concert, I was really wallowing in a mild depression, obsessing over when I would next see the artist play. And it got me thinking, would this kind of scenario ever happen in a post-capitalist solarpunk world? Would we still have celebrities, parasocial relationships, and social capital in a world where economic growth wasn't a thing anymore? So I generally have never really cared much about celebrity culture. I don't really know many actors by name. There are very few artists that I listen to on repeat. And as for anyone who doesn't produce an art form that I directly enjoy, I couldn't care less about who they are or what their lives are like. That being said, I do have a tendency to idolize people that I admire. And as a teenager especially, it's often manifested as slightly parasocial relationships with the YouTubers I watched regularly or the artists I listened to on repeat. I feel like quite a few people, to varying degrees, go through parasocial relationships. A one-sided, non-reciprocal, socio-economic connection with a media figure, whereby that media figure has no idea of the other person's existence. Growing up in the 2000s and 2010s myself, it was very easy to feel connected to the person I listened to or watched regularly on a screen. Often I would even idealize these media figures, think of them in a much more positive light than they would be in real life. After all, media figures often only show their best art or best work, and present the most entertaining, most attractive, and most charismatic sides of themselves to the public. Not, what they look like getting anaesthetized at the dentist or cleaning their toilet. It's very easy to fall into the trap of idealizing people and putting them on a pedestal. And whilst my teenage obsessions usually only involved me spending a bit too much time watching my favorite YouTuber, or spending a couple of months following fan accounts and absorbing as much information as I could about someone before losing interest in them, a lot of parasocial relationships can cause harm to the media figure and to the person obsessing over them. Recently, for example, the singer Chapel Rowan put out a post on social media talking about her experience being stalked, harassed and followed by superfans. In the post, she talked about how celebrities should have the right to switch off when not at work, for example, not be demanded to be taken pictures with or hugged in the middle of the street. This became a big topic of conversation, with the internet ripping themselves apart over whether or not she should have the right to say this, as someone who deliberately chose a career of fame and fortune. Now, whilst I obviously agree that celebrities should be left well alone and not harassed, stalked or followed, I'm not really interested in dissecting this exact post on my channel because this topic has already been covered by many other bigger video essayist YouTubers. In fact, I think the more interesting part to look into about this whole thing is the connection between celebritism and capitalism, and how this might change in a post-capitalist world. Today, celebrities are very highly interwoven with the capitalist system. Celebrities are often crafted and curated to become someone that the masses can identify with on one level, but are just out of touch on every other level, making them perfect for idealization. This godly status lends itself very easily to the celebrity becoming an ideal target for disseminating propaganda, whether from governments or corporations. Even celebrities that have arisen from the people themselves, for example, gained a large following just through social media, often become perfectly curated, perfected versions of exactly what their audience wants to see. And their audience becomes their consumer, consuming vast quantities of their labour, but also whatever physical products they decide to endorse. After all, for every celebrity, more attention on them means more money. And most importantly, the whole idea of a celebrity is highly interwoven with capitalism because it reinforces the idea of individualism. We worship and adore these people on our screens because we are consuming a meticulously crafted, fake version of them as an individual. The celebrity, as with capitalism, always demands more. More attention, more obsession, more idealization, more money. And us, the consumer, we want more too. More content from them to gorge on, more details about them and their personal lives, and just in general more of them in our lives at all costs. And of course, when a celebrity rejects this whole cycle, as Chapel Rowan did, it fractures the very idea ingrained within us all as to what exactly a celebrity is and what role they have to play in our lives. After all, we have been taught that we have the right to everything about a celebrity, as long as we pay up with either our attention or our money. The celebrity-consumer relationship under capitalism is wholly parasitic. So the main question is, in a post-capitalist world, would celebrities even still exist? Or would we find a way of breaking up with our parasocial, parasitic relationship with them, instead finding a way to have a more mutual relationship where we just enjoy their art? Well, first, I think we need to analyse the idea of our attention as an economy through the lens of social capital. Have you heard of the attention economy? It's the idea that our economy today revolves around grabbing and capturing our attention as much as possible. With millions of products and services out there competing with one another every day, the most important currency for them of all is how much of our attention they can grab and steal. After all, more eyes on them means more engagement, which means more sales, which means more economic capital. And this attention grabbing can be the result of TV and radio adverts, billboards, pamphlets, signposts, branded clothing and items, and of course the never-ending slew of things shown to us on social media through our phones and computers. But how does all of this relate to celebrities? Well, media figures also compete for our attention, whether they're aware of it or not. I, right now, am competing for your attention, hoping that you keep your eyes peeled on me. After all, more attention on me means better engagement with the YouTube algorithm, which means more of that pitiful ad revenue. And even if I chose not to monetize this channel, I'd still want as much of your attention as possible to make sure the message behind it gets spread far and wide. At the end of the day, we're all a part of the attention economy. Now, whilst the attention economy slots in very well with generating economic capital, it's also the result of and helps to feed another kind of capital: social capital. Social capital is what the name suggests, the extent and nature of someone's connection with others, as well as the collective behaviours and attitudes between people that help to support a functioning society. Someone who is well integrated within their community, for example, and has strong relationships with friends, acquaintances, and neighbours, might be able to get more help when they need it, because of having a high level of social capital. At the same time, a community which has a high level of social capital between them would be more resilient and ready to face hard times together. In this way, social capital has both individual and collective components, though for this video I'm going to be focusing more on the individual side. In fact, Janine Nahapiat and Sumantra Ghosh, sorry if I pronounced that terribly wrong, split social capital into 3 further categories. The first is relational capital, which is the nature and quality of relationships someone has with others in the world, including trust, identity, and expectations. The second is cognitive capital, which is the knowledge and understanding someone shares with the world around them, including language, values, beliefs, and goals. The last one is structural capital, which is the overall brand or network of connections someone has with people or resources. Now, I personally feel like media figures and celebrities score pretty highly in all 3 of these categories. They have a high level of structural social capital, as they have a very large network of connections through all of their large fan base and followers. They have a high level of cognitive social capital, as they usually push a value or belief through the art or work they create, which a lot of people share with them when they enjoy that art or work. And lastly, they have a very high relational social capital, as they create a very strong identity which their fans or followers place a high amount of trust in and idealize. So not only do celebrities and media figures manipulate the attention economy very well, but they also have a very high level of social capital. And whilst as we progress into a post-capitalist world, our need for the attention economy will hopefully drop. After all, no more capitalism means no more endless consumerism and brands competing with each other for profit. I feel like social capital will still very much be a thing. Even in a solarpunk society, connections and the nature of these connections will be very important, both from an individual perspective and within a community. After all, it is just human nature to have a fluctuating mixture of close and not so close relationships with other people as we progress through our lives. So in my opinion, whilst a solarpunk society won't have a profit motive anymore, and might not even have economic capital or money at all, as I mentioned in a previous video linked above here somewhere if you want to watch that, social capital will still be present. So I guess the real question is, will celebrities as we know them today still exist in a solarpunk society? Or will we merely use social capital within our own communities and the people we know? Yeah, I don't think celebritism is going to go away anytime soon, even in a solarpunk society. After all, we will always have people whose work or art we admire. Technology isn't going to just vanish either, hopefully not anyway. And though the way in which we use technology and the internet might change, we'll still be able to hopefully follow the work and art of people from all across the globe. The question for me rather is how the nature of celebrities will change in a solarpunk society. Well, firstly, we'll have stronger community relationships, and social capital will probably be mostly gained through developing these positive relationships with our own communities. Without the need for profit or pointless work, people will have more time to invest in building projects in their own communities, as well as redistributing resources to make sure everyone has enough of what they need. This could include more tool and knowledge libraries, community agriculture schemes, and much wider scale, horizontally organised transport systems or resource redistribution. More fulfilling labour and community relationships means much less loneliness and social isolation, which means people will be much less likely to form parasocial relationships with people or celebrities they don't know, instead finding it much more valuable to invest their energy in building social capital and relationships with people in their communities, whether in person or online. The opposite is also true. Without the motivation of profit, celebrities themselves will no longer need to curate an idealized self. Without needing to craft themselves to master a parasitic social media algorithm, secure brand deals, or make sure they don't produce too much bad PR to secure that next Hollywood movie deal, celebrities will be able to just be more of their authentic selves, an imperfect human. And that imperfection on display will mean people are less likely to idealize them and have parasocial relationships with them. So with all this in mind, what kind of celebrities would we actually be left with? Well, I think the celebrities of a solarpunk future would be people we admire for their work or art. And not because of who their parents are, or how many products they can sell, or how attractive they are. Although, to be fair, there probably would still be some kind of idealization of attractive humans. I feel like that's always going to be the case. Mostly, the kind of celebrities I think we would have in a solarpunk world would include social and environmental activists, authors, scientists doing cool or meaningful research, artists, athletes, musicians, comedians, entertainers, and anyone else who has an interesting skill or idea and decides to share it with the world. But the run-of-the-mill influencers, brand builders, business gurus, reality TV stars, professional drama queens, or nepo babies? Personally, I don't think any of these types would exist in a solarpunk world anymore. In fact, I think most solarpunk celebrities would grow organically from people being interested in their work or art, rather than through nepotism or being handpicked by Hollywood for their money-making potential. Because at the end of the day, people are always going to have celebrity crushes or admire people whose work or art they really like, especially teenagers and young people who are still working out their way in the world. And I think that's okay. At the end of the day, it's just human nature. But in a post-capitalist and solarpunk world where we prioritize healthy relationships and community bonds, I think celebritism will just fade into the background of daily life, and celebrities themselves will just become ordinary people whose work and art is enjoyed by many. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this more socially oriented video, and just remember to keep your attention on me by liking and subscribing so I can keep raking in that delicious social capital and YouTube ad revenue. The musician that I went to the gig to, if you're watching, what a great gig. Post-concert depression you gave me fueled this whole video, so if that's not a sign of some messed up celebrity culture, then I don't really know what is. Alright everyone, see you in the next one. Bye!